Muse, like most Adobe applications, comes with a ton of features and tools, but the reality is that most websites consist of a few simple elements: text, images, and some simple shapes and boxes. Let's look at how we add text and images to our site and create some shapes that span the full browser width. Now that I've set up some very simple pages in our plan view, this is just a 4-page website, I'm going to add my logo. I'm actually going to add my logo into the master page because I want it to show up in the same spot across all pages on the site. So let's double click into the master. And now that I have the canvas visible, I'm going to bring up my logo. My logo is right here. It's a PNG file. And I'm just going to drag that onto the canvas. When I drag it onto the canvas, I get a loaded cursor, just like in InDesign, and I can click to place the item. Once the item's on the canvas, I can grab the corner and I can drag it to resize it down. Another option I could do if this was an image is I can select the crop tool in the toolbar on the left, and I could crop this image a little bit if we didn't want to see it all. I'm going to undo that because I want to see it full. Another way that this works like InDesign is we could actually double click into this frame and we could scale the image inside the frame so that we only saw a different part of it. I'll undo that because we want to see our whole logo. So I'm just going to scale this down. I'm going to put it in the top left corner. That's where our logo is going to be. So if I exit the master page now, go back to our plan view, you'll see that all of the other pages on the site actually have a little logo in the corner. That's because they're all using this same master page. So let's jump into our home page. You can see our logo looks great there. And let's just add some different elements to the site. The first thing I'm going to do is add an image. There's a couple ways to add an image. We can drag and drop it out of the Explorer or Finder window like I just did with the icon. Or we can click File and Place, and we can place the image on the canvas. So I've got some images here. Here's one. So let's open that, and now we have an image, and I can just drag it and drop it out on the canvas. Again, just like InDesign, we can use our crop tool and we could crop it tighter, or I could make this box even wider like that. And then I could double click into the image itself and scale it up so it fills more of the box. Of course, some of it's going to be cropped off, but that's just fine. So there you go. We have a very simple website structure starting to be built. We have our logo, we have what you would call a hero image here, and then we can add some text and other elements. An important thing to note with Muse sites too is that if you create elements that span from one side of the browser to the other, they're often called full width elements, and they're always going to stay full width. Let me move my image down here for a second. I'll show you what I mean. If I grab a rectangle tool here from the left side, and I drag it out onto the canvas, and I drag it from left side to the right, you'll see that it kind of snaps to the edges of the canvas. I'm going to put a fill on there, so let's go up to fill and select gray, just like that, and everything looks good. Now, I want to preview this to show you what I mean. So how do we preview? We can either hit preview in the top right, which opens the in-app preview, or we can go up to File and Preview Page in Browser. That's going to load the in-browser preview, which I like better. So here's our preview of the site we've just built. You'll see the logo file, you'll see the image, but you'll notice that the bar is actually spanning all the way across the browser. And if I shrink the browser window down, it always stays full width or attached to both sides. So that's how you can create elements that span across the entire browser. Just make sure they snap to each edge of the canvas. Let's jump back to Muse and add some text boxes. So if I click the text tool here in the toolbar, then what I can do is just drag and create some text boxes and type in them. So we could create a very simple navigation system. So we might go About, and I'm going to shrink that text box down so it fits, and then I'm going to hold the Option key and just duplicate this and drag it over. You could also copy and paste this. Let's do Portfolio like that, and we'll duplicate it again and do Contact. Contact. There you go. So we have a couple of text items on the canvas. Now I want to style these up a bit so we can actually select them all, and I can go over to the text panel on the right side, and I can pick a different font. So let's pick something like, let's go Museo Sans, and we'll do 500 weight. That looks good. We'll bring the text size up a little bit, say 19, and then we could just align these on the canvas. So let's put them there, and you'll notice that we've got these smart guides helping us align them. And there you go. We have a very simple navigation system set up. So let's preview this again in the browser. And you can see that we have the base of our website already created. Now, working with text in Muse is really easy. It's similar to all other Adobe applications. You just need to drag a text box out and add your content. We also have the ability to add styles. So if I click on my window drop down here and select paragraph styles, you can see that we could create a new style based on that text and reapply our style to other elements throughout the site. This is the easiest way for you to make global edits to our text content and only have to change it in one spot if you need to revise it. One other important element to note with Muse is that you'll notice I'm running out of space on the bottom of my site. I want to make this a much longer page. Unlike InDesign or Illustrator where you'd need to manually revise the page size, with Muse you can actually grab an element and drag it down. And you'll notice that as I do that, it pushes the page longer and longer. So as I'm working on this site, adding new images and things like that, you don't need to worry about manually adjusting it. You can just drag things down and push it longer. Or an alternative is to grab this blue arrow on the top left and drag down the bottom of page guide to make it even longer. These are the nuts and bolts of working with design elements in Muse. If you're familiar with Adobe InDesign, then Muse will be a breeze. The interface is very similar, and its use of frames to store images and content makes layouts really easy.